Hey, what's up traders? Before you get into this video, we're running a contest for everybody who likes, comments, and to subscribe to my channel. We're gonna choose a winner at the end of the month, give you free access to my training academy, or if you're already a member of the academy, then a free strategy session with me, 30-minute phone call, get ironed out whatever part of your trading game you need help with. And yeah, so like, comment, and subscribe. We're gonna choose a winner at the end of the month, and enjoy the video. Thanks for your support. Peace. What's up, everybody? Hey, man, thanks for hopping on. What's up? We're going to just give it a second, let everybody hop on here. And yeah, wow. I don't know if y'all are watching right now. The dollar just especially with gold, I don't know. I'm not sure what it was that just went down, but we're going to have a look at that. And what's up, Tiago? Dennis, hey, man. So yeah, if you all have any questions, be sure to ask in the chat box. I'm going to definitely get everybody's mics muted here. Hey, what's up, buddy? And yeah, so let's see here. Get the chat box. And if you have any questions, I'm just going to kind of go down the line of our signal trades and what we have to look into. We have some big news coming for New Zealand dollar, Australian dollar. We have some interest rate decisions. So we're going to look at those. And yeah, so there's a ton of good setups. And we're starting the day off super, super good. What's up, Pravish? And yeah, so if you have any questions, hit it in the chat group, in the chat box, and we'll try to get to it. So thanks for hopping on for real. So let's just take a look right off the bat here at, I just sent out that US dollar Japanese yen signal to you all, and I shared that with the free group as well. So this is a very, very good setup. And you know, you can't really ask for better risk to reward here. And what I mean by risk to reward is we're at this huge trend line here. So the risk is that we are going to move to the downside, and we can only risk, we could set our risk up here above this high, and we have our trade at 110.30, and so we could risk 40 pips here to hit potentially all this downside. So I mean, the market isn't moving that much, but I do think eventually, if we're not breaking higher here, is the thing that the risk is that we're gonna move much, much lower. So you could really position yourself on US dollar Japanese yen here for a very, very good trade. And I definitely am myself. I like this. I trade US dollar yen all the time. It's my favorite pair. And so this setup that we're in right now, I like it a lot. So I think this is going to be a good trade. And let me tell you another reason before I move into our next pairs that I do like this setup. And remember, you know how I like to trade correlating all the markets together. So if we're looking at the yen, we have to look at the S&P 500. And let's see here. And you can see that this just happened like just now. We had this big pop on the S&P 500. But you have to ask yourself, if we're moving higher in the S&P 500, why aren't we moving higher in the US dollar yen? And that's a great question, right? So typically you would see more of a move here than we did, but we really got rejected at that 110 level. So if that's the case, trading is all about finding market clues and putting together the puzzle with the markets revealing. And so for me, when I see a move like that we keep going higher, but we're not breaking out in the dollar yen, it tells me, man, it's a matter of time until we start to move lower. And we keep hitting that let's see, gotta move, this kind of got in the way here. We keep hitting that that area and getting rejected. So if it keeps happening over and over and over again, I think basically that you got to bet on us moving lower. So I love this setup right now, man. I think it's going to be hopefully pay off for us, and we'll see what happens. So if we're talking about US dollar yen, I covered, and this is how I like to look at the market. So we looked at US dollar yen, we looked at indices, and so then you got to take a look at gold. And you know, if we are looking at the indices now, and yen, you can see we just had this move lower in gold. You see, we got a couple questions in the chat box. Okay, yeah, we'll take a look at EJ and dollar CAD. Good question, man. But for gold here, man, so I have this trend line right here, and clearly we've broken down below it. Now, is this going to be a big sell-off? We do have Jerome Powell testifying today, and you know, I don't think he's going to say much to strengthen the dollar, that's for sure. But just like in my training, I talk about you know, setting off fanning trend lines, and as a clue to when markets are going to really turn. And you could set that here. You know, if we break down below this trend line here, you could start to see some significant. Nope, don't want to do that. Some significant downside. Because the thing is, we've been capped here for a while and we haven't broken out. And so I'm not saying that we're just going to start turning lower here in gold, but what I am saying is that if this continues, man, this is going to make a great buying opportunity. And more than anything, I think that's what I'm just hoping for in gold. So, you know, when I'm looking at my targets, next we want to do our Fibonacci. And you can see where we're at down here at the 61.8 is my target. That's going to be an amazing buying opportunity. It's more or less a gift if we can make it that far. Okay, so let's take a look at EJ and dollar CAD, and we can look at Euro NZD as well. Let's see. So Euro JPY. So we've broken down below this 120 level. We got we caught some good pips selling. Like we caught this little move down, and of course we bounced right back up. And I think it's going to provide, to be honest, a good opportunity for re-entry. And probably when I get off here, I'll probably send the signal out to the group, because you can see, like just like I did those multiple trend lines, you can see we have that setting up on Euro JPY now. So you know, I think the risk is more to the downside here. And you know, we just got a retracement back up. We're retesting this huge trend line right here, and so I think this is going to be a great re-entry. And you have to keep in mind now too. If we're betting on the yen getting strong, I think it's a good bet, because you got the coronavirus. It's not getting any better, and you know, there's just a lot of uncertainty in the world. And this, just like I said earlier, despite the fact that the S&P 500 is moving higher, that NASDAQ, that stocks continue to move higher, we haven't seen. You would think that we would just get some massive yen weakness, and you would see this rally way back up here, but it just hasn't happened. So a re-entry on Euro Yen, I think, is going to be a good play. And if we're talking about risk to reward, look how much downside if this thing really starts to move lower. There's not much resistance here to hold it up. So I think that's a great question and a great play for Euro Yen. So next, let's take a look at dollar CAD. And man, looks like we got a bit of a false breakout here on US dollar CAD. And remember, you know, my mantra, if you can remember that a false breakout typically leads to a breakdown, we could see some serious downside here in the dollar CAD. And this is something I've been betting on and hoping on. You know, we got stopped out earlier in the week, unfortunately, like a trade from last week, because I was thinking that, and I still think that crude is going to move higher. So if we're looking at dollar CAD, if we're looking at correlating markets, we got to look at oil. Now, just keep this in mind that we've had this false breakout here in US dollar CAD. So this is pretty big. You know, you could go from this fractal point, and if we are looking at that fractal, we haven't quite broken down completely. But to me, I think this is the real resistance zone. So, you know, if we break down back inside here, or if we're trying to break down, remember, a false breakout typically leads to a breakdown. All that we need for this thing to just accelerate and just sell off big time is crude to bounce. And to me, it looks like it's consolidating here and setting up for a big bounce. Like I'm personally buying crude right now myself. I'm in some buys. You can see where we're at on this RSI here. We're starting to diverge. We're trying to point higher. And I don't know about you all, but it looks like a double top that's trying to set up here. So I know these trend lines are kind of going through these candles here, but I just have it mapped out from these fractal points. So if you can see that, you can see, well, you know, we are trying to pick up some upside momentum here, you know, even though it definitely has been limited, that's for sure. So you can see if we go from this fractal to this fractal, you know, we're really trying to break out above this point here, which is coming in at 50.4. Now, if we can get up and close above 50.50, that's going to be a big deal for crude. Now, the thing you don't have to be trading oil to be trading oil. And so what I mean by that is you could be watching this and you could be waiting, and it's a much safer play to be trading Forex, especially, you know, the way that oil moves. So you could be sitting here watching this, and I mean, this looks like a double bottom to me. You know, I talk about it in the training, looking for W's as double bottoms. So boom, boom, boom. You could be waiting for this to break out here and being like, oh, okay, we've broken out in crude. Now I'm going to go over here to dollar CAD, and this is where I'm going to put my shorts in. And you can see right here, dude, this looks like it's breaking down. So if you're not in dollar CAD right now, I'd say it'd be a great, go ahead and put a sell on, you know, and, you know, you can put your stop loss above this high, and you would have a pretty good chance at some downside here, especially, and all you have to do, you could put this trade on and you could watch the oil market and wait for oil to jump, and you wouldn't even have to look at your dollar CAD trade. And that's the thing, once you start to get these correlations down, you know, like I can just watch the S&P 500 and trade the dollar yen and not even look at dollar yen. So same thing with US dollar CAD and crude oil. So this looks good, and we could go to a dollar chart, an hour chart here, and you know, we've already broken this trend line. This thing's about to fall. So I think that's a great trade for y'all to take, anybody that's on this webinar right now. EJ is closing inside zone. I'm short on EJ. Okay, let's see, head and shoulders on Swiss yen. Okay, man, it sounds like we're all on the same page here, dude. You guys are so proud of our group, man. You guys are crushing it. It's crazy. So I like this dollar CAD trade. Let's keep an eye on oil. And I had a question about Euro NZD, which is a great question. I'm not currently trading it, but let's take a look. We were in Euro AUD, and unfortunately that broke down a lot more than I wanted it to, that's for sure. So we have, personally, I like Euro NZD to the upside here, just like how I said on dollar CAD, a false breakout leads to a breakdown. Well, we have a false breakdown here. So what would the opposite of that be? A false breakdown typically leads to a breakout or move higher. And so this clearly broke down below this trend line and is looking to move higher. You know, it hasn't quite yet, and we're sitting on this kind of trend line support here. Well, honestly, it looks like we kind of broken down from here. So, you know, more downside could be in store here for Euro NZD. And if you wanted to trade this, and now you have a target here to this trend line, this daily trend line, that could be a good play. One, you know, a good 50 pip drop here on Euro NZD. Or if you wanted to be a real gangster about it and just put a buy limit here on this trend line, that's good. That would be, and let the market come to you. That is always the best way to go about it. Easier said than done, because we just want to hop into a trade and start trading. But if we can put a limit order on this trend line, that would be an epic play. So hope that answered your questions on Euro NZD, and then let's take a look at Swiss yen. Here we are. And so this is what, like, it was looking like, earlier, like the buy was, because we're in a buy in our VIP group. Anybody that is on here on the free channel, and we were getting into some drawdown here, but we got a big rejection and some buyers, some bulls coming into the market here, and we look pretty on point to hit our first take profit target. So the fact that we didn't break down lower there, I think is good. If we can clear this 20 pip target and get our stop loss to entry, I'm going to be super happy with this trade. Let's take a look at Euro USD now. And this, here we are in our trade for our VIP trade. We're buying here on 109.10, and I shared this in the weekly update video yesterday. You can tell, as long as we hold right here, I think we're due for a bounce. I'm not saying that we're gonna rally back up to 112. Personally, I would love to see 110 and become a seller up here. But the reason I wanted to buy here, and this webinar is all about correlating markets. So if we're looking at Euro USD, then we want to go over to the dollar index. And I talked about this in our update video yesterday. You can see we're having a bit of a rejection here. And once we start to, if we get a move lower here in the dollar index, you're probably really going to see Euro USD bounce. And also our limit order on GBP USD just got triggered, which is great. You can see we had a sell limit on cable that just got triggered, and you know, I'm feeling really good about this trade as well, because where we are in relation to this big trend line here and this level of support, we're below it, we're retesting now, and so this trade looks good too. So I think we have some amazing setups right now. Be sure you're moving your stop loss to entry though, for sure. Dennis, thanks for hopping on, man. Danke. And I hope you can understand. I know there's a translation issue a little bit, but hope you can understand. Feel free to message me on Telegram if you have any questions. And so yeah, pound dollar looks good. We just need to get a little more of a rejection here, and I think we're good on these downside targets. You know what? That just reminded me too. Let's go ahead and take a look at Aussie dollar. Here we are in our AUD USD trade. We've knocked out our first two take profit targets and our VIP trades here, and we have our 100 pip target to go. And you can see we just got rejected here at this trend line. So if we break out above this trend line here, that would be a great place to put on another entry. So, you know, when you're adding on to your positions, you want it to be after like you've cleared some sort of hurdle in the market, like a trend line like this. So we clear back above here, and then we make a move back to this, you know, then I think it's pretty much all systems go to this 100 pip target here that we have. NZD USD, we got a nice little bounce here. We almost about to get retaken out at entry, and if we do, I will probably just let this trade chill because of the fact that we have what was I going to say? Because we have the NZD bank statement coming on at the start of Asian session. So, dude, we got a bunch going on here. So, that being said, does anybody have any questions? Anybody like mindset? You know, of course, I just covered a ton of stuff. I recorded the webinar, and I'm going to start doing a lot more of these, and you know, just try to get as much information out there. I'll post this up to YouTube. But the most important thing is, I know I covered a big range of topics here, and you don't have to take every single signal. In fact, I don't want you to. Like just how I was talking about the correlating markets here, just pick out one, like US dollar yen. Be like, you know what, I'm going to trade the dollar yen. I like what Clay was saying here. I like this setup. And so now I'm just going to trade the yen. I'm going to watch the S&P 500. And it looks like we're hitting a top here on it too. So you might, we might see some downside in it soon. Actually, I'm going to take a look at my own account here. Add on a little position. I honestly just sold a little bit of S&P 500. You know, you don't want to go too big going to betting against it. That's for sure. But I just put a little piece on there. So just concentrate on the correlating markets here. CAD Swiss to the upside. We can take a look at that. Euro AUD, it looks like we found some support. Thankfully, we adjusted the stop loss. We didn't get taken out, which I'm definitely happy for. And if we can get a move back up into this triangle, I still think we're good for these targets. So thankfully we didn't get taken out. We're still in the trade, but it was a close call. Now, if we start getting some downside again on Euro AUD, then you might want to close your buy, and you could put a sell position in there. I'll take a look at gold. I looked at gold earlier, but you may have got on the webinar late or something. Had a question on CAD Swiss. You know, I've been in a buy for a while here, and you know, targeting this 100 pips up here. We're about 50 pips into this buy. So, you know, we could potentially see some risk off here, depending on if what happens on the S&P 500 there. But with CAD Swiss, again, just take a look at oil, watch the oil market, and if we do start to break higher, you know, I'd say CAD Swiss is going to go higher. So really getting your correlations locked in there is going to be just a gateway to understanding the market. I'm telling you. Yeah, Pedro. So using everything to maximize the chance to win for sure. You gotta see how everything is correlated together. Clifton, let's see. I'm new, so I'm trying to learn how to get it. All you use is trendline, fib, and RSI. Yeah, for the most part, Clift, that's exactly what I'm using. The thing is that price action, basic indicators like support, resistant, trend lines. But the thing is, and I talk about this in my course, and like if you're in my VIP chat room, like typically the conversation is it a risk off day? Is it a risk on day? And so I'm using the fundamental analysis of what the market sentiment is to decide whether, you know, the yen's going to be strong, whether the yen's going to be weak, and what's going on in regards to that. So RSI I'm using for divergences, fibs to really get my targets down, and trend lines, you know, where the bounces might happen, rejections. And then I'm using fundamental analysis to determine what's the mood of the market today. And you know, the S&P 500's been moving higher. So, you know, it seems like it's pretty risk on to me. You know, although we haven't got to move higher in oil yet. Tiago, CAD yen, I'll take a look at in a second, right after oil, or right after, yeah, no problem, man, no problem, Cliff. Right after gold here, but the thing is, on gold, you know, we haven't been taken out. We keep getting rejected on this level. Let me put it that way. So, you know, I think it looks like we're kind of wanting to move lower here. We have multiple breakdowns. And, you know, I'm not saying we're moving lower long term. I'm saying that that we finding an area where you can be a buyer. I still think buying dips in gold is the best play, but we might be in store for a really big dip before we really move higher. And that's kind of what I'm thinking in regards to gold here. So so yeah, CAD yen, and then we'll wrap it up. Thanks for hopping on, everybody, and thanks for all the support in the VIP chat. Hey, Ski Core, yeah, okay, so finding divergences in the RSI, it's not easy, but once you like figure it out, it is pretty easy. It's just a matter of, you know, like this right here on the daily chart. This is a divergence. See how price just moves up and up, but it didn't confirm down here? That would be a divergence, especially in the course. Reference 3 drive. So this is a great example of divergence here, and a sell-off after. We have a move higher in price action, but while the RSI isn't, that's what I mean when I'm saying RSI isn't confirming. All it's confirming here is that the relative strength of CAD versus the yen is weakening, and then you can see what happened right after that. Boy, wouldn't that have been an awesome trade to be in? So just like Ski Core, go across and see where you can see these divergences. And I typically think they're easier to spot in a selling scenario, but you know, you can also find them when for buys as well. Like here's the divergence, bullish divergence. Move lower, while this is confirming higher. I mean, simple as that. If you could really start to build a strategy around finding divergences, man, you know, that it's going to be a game changer. It's one of my biggest tells on what's happening in the market. And so, yeah, CAD yen, man, I don't know if Tiago, if you're holding this from Friday, but I exited the trade early, and it looks like we're trying to break out again. Like, if you watch oil, as soon as that thing really takes off, CAD yen is going to rip higher. I'm telling you. And we have some good. And you know what? This kind of looks like a funky like kind of deformed inverted head and shoulders here. I don't know if you guys see that for sure. You know, put a Y in the box if you all see that. But this is definitely inverted head and shoulder. And this blue line is the neckline. All right, awesome. Yeah, Clifton, thanks. This neckline is the neckline. That's how an inverted head and shoulder works. And so for us to really confirm and to move higher, we need to break above this neckline. And I think that's going to happen. That's going to happen with, a move higher in oil. And the only thing that's holding it down probably is the coronavirus and the uncertainty around the market right now. Confluence is definitely the key to trading. I think, Tiago, yeah, I mean, it could go down if the coronavirus, the market's like, okay, it's going on now. It's starting to shrug it off, but, some sort of like bombshell news comes out, like, China confirms, like, they're hiding how bad it was. And now it's like 10 times worse than, being reported, which is probably true. Then yeah, that could definitely be the catalyst for yen, for CAD yen. And had one more question about US dollar Swiss from F. And here you go, buddy. Same deal. And you know what I see here? Can anybody tell me what I'm drawing here? And if you're in the training, I made an update video about these type of lines. It's a line. Anybody in the chat box? Tiago, I know you're so close right now, man. I'll give you 5 more seconds. Okay, so this is a throwover line, right? So we have our kind of false breakout. Somebody answered throwover. There it was. Yep. Yeah. That's it, man. So a throwover line is basically, when we have this this level of resistance that keeps getting hit, we break out and consolidate above it, but we're not able to confirm higher, and then we break down. And so, man, this is looking good. This kind of goes along with looks really similar to our US dollar CAD. Right, so we have a false breakout here, and you can see this is a great example of a throwover line. In fact, I'll probably share this on my Instagram because I love this setup now. And right, so we have this supply zone here that I posted about not too long ago, and it looks like we're in for some downside because we have the failure to break out, and a breakdown back inside this throwover line is a big signal for more downside. So F, thanks for the message there, and thanks for hopping on, guys. Let's see, got one more question here. Yep, false breakout, a throwover. It's kind of the same thing, dude. And so yeah, great webinar. I hope you all learned a lot and feel good about where we're at today, moving forward. And, you know, if you're not in our group and you're watching this and you're like just got introduced to me and my style of trading, I know Tiago and some of the guys that are in my group and gone through my training, like I'm legitimately trying to help people, wanting to teach. I do my best, and I'm analyzing the market every single day, putting it out there. And hey, thanks, Dennis. I appreciate you too, man. And so if you'd like to be a part of our group, we would love to have you, man. You know, it's a great community. I keep saying that, like, but I'm not just saying that to market or advertise. It's the best, most positive community out there. And if you give yourself to this program, I really think in 90 days, you can go from blowing accounts, not knowing what you're doing, to, and, you know, some people will be like, you know, oversell, say in 30 days, you'll be consistent. But, and if you give it 90 days, which is a super short amount of time, if you went 30 days going through my training, really like trying to figure out what it is, trading it in a demo, like going through back testing, 30 days doing that, the next 30 days taking my signals, using that with the training and being like, okay, Ronin shared a chart here of US dollar yen at a trend line resistance, and he's talking about it correlating with the S&P 500. Does that make sense to me yet? And then eventually it'll start to make sense. I promise you that if you spend 30 days trading on a demo, testing it against the training, and then the next 30 days sharing your thoughts, getting involved with the community, I'm telling you, in 90 days, you can open up your phone and not be afraid of blowing the account. You can actually be like, dude, I'm going to make some money today. And I know that for a fact you can do this. So if you'd like to be a part of our group, man, we would love to have you. And thanks for hopping on, everybody. I'm going to get back to trading. And I really like this. I really like that US dollar CAD setup. And I really like that US dollar Swiss setup. So, and I like US dollar yen a lot. So thanks for hopping on the webinar, everybody. If you're ready to join our group, we would love to have you. Click on the links, you know, in our Telegram. I'm going to post this on YouTube, and it'll be below. And let's have a strong trading week, man. All right, everybody. Peace.